How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Over on the Dixie for the daily, we did try to push forward. We did hit our EMA levels, and we do have a slight rejection. Our stochastic is pulling back. We do have the blue above orange though, so if that can continue, our side could continue further up, and we could see price action push forward. Momentum does want to gain strength. VWAP is trying to push forward. I would watch though, because it does show signs of rounding. If that VWAP or yellow wave does round here, momentum could fall, and we could see Dixie start to reject lower. Remember, usually Dixie and crypto are inversely related, but right now with the CPI news, they are acting a little more correlated over the last few days. So usually if Dixie were to break, we would see crypto push up. We are struggling with the 300 EMA, so if we cannot break our 300 EMA, then it's likely we would get a rejection and continue lower. Stochastic does want to pull back, RSI is starting to round away, momentum does want to round, VWAP is pulling back, money flow is selling off due to that VWAP and momentum starting to favor more toward the bearish territory. So if that VWAP makes a break, we will see that money flow continue to deepen in the red and weaken the daily. Over on the 2 hour, we do have a push forward. This was a pretty quick move up. So I would watch. Usually a quick move one way is retraced by a quick move the other. We did drop down pretty quick, but that doesn't give us the need for a push up very quick, because that could just create this whipsaw where we go up and down really quick and have some volatility. Our stochastic does want to pull back. Momentum is starting to round with the red dot, as that VWAP does have lower highs and it's breaking into the bearish territory. If that VWAP continues lower, momentum will make a break and money flow will start to continue to weaken and remain in that bearish territory. Over on the 1 hour, we are going sideways. Stochastic is starting to pull back. Momentum is rounding away. Our side does want to drop down. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory and money flow is struggling. If that VWAP continues to favor bearish, we have a lower low with weak highs. So if we continue to see lower lows with lower highs from here, momentum will break down, and we will see money flow break down and weaken those higher time frames. That would result in Dixie in the higher time frames starting to sell off, and then usually that would cause crypto to push up. So over on total here, I clicked the wrong key when I was trying to zoom. We did break back above that 300 EMA, and we are holding. This could be very positive because that could negate that bearish channel, as we are starting to trend forward. Just watch if we get hung up in the upper part of the channel. Our side does want to push up. Stochastic is running forward. VWAP is in the bullish territory. Momentum does want to push forward with the green dot. So we do look decent on the daily, but we need strong bullish momentum on the lower time frames. Over on the 4 hour, we could make a symmetrical triangle here, much like the rest of the market did yesterday. So I would exercise caution. Remember, that's a 50-50, and it could break it lower rather than higher. The upside isn't very high because we do have it coming from a drop. So the downside would be a bear pendant. Our stochastic does want to round away. Our side is starting to round as a result. Momentum is starting to round. VWAP does want to pull back and money flow is bullish, but with the VWAP pulling back, momentum could break and money flow could start to fall flat. Over on the 2 hour here, we are trying to run forward. We do have a reversal arrow. Remember, that reversal arrow does show that we could start to drop away. Stochastic is pretty maxed out. RSI is pretty maxed out as well. Momentum has run up about as far as it could for now. VWAP does want to push forward, but we are getting lower highs. If that VWAP breaks that neutral and we get lower highs after, we will see momentum weaken and money flow would break down. Over on the 1 hour, remember, total does lead all of our altcoins, so if total starts to sell off, usually all of our altcoins will sell off too. Our stochastic is starting to pull back on the 1 hour. RSI is dropping away. Momentum is rounding. VWAP does want to break that neutral. Money flow is pulling back. We do have higher highs with price action, but consistent lows. That does create a bit of a rising triangle. So that rising triangle may try to break us up, but it wouldn't really give us much of a move forward. So draw from your support to your resistance. And that would give us a break of the 300 EMA. That would be positive, because if we can break and hold that EMA, then we could continue to push further up. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we do have a little bit of a push up as altcoins did run up. Remember, usually when dominance makes the bounce, total will run ahead of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was not too strong today, at least for futures. but for Bitcoin itself, it did hold pretty well. We did see dominance increase, so our VWAP is starting to pull back, momentum is rounding, our money flow is starting to sell off, stochastic is dropping, and RSI is pulling back. Overall, that dominance is trending lower, but if we can start to push forward, we could see Bitcoin run up ahead of altcoins. If we see that break lower, then that's where our altcoins will run up ahead of Bitcoin. So watch, we are in a bit of a descending channel, possibly. That descending channel could break you forward, and that would help push Bitcoin ahead of altcoins. Bitcoin has been doing more favorable to altcoins, but with the ETH ETF news and things starting to pan out, we may see our altcoins start to run sooner rather than later. Over on Bitcoin futures, so the daily, we did have this descending channel. If I can click on the right thing, we did not break away from it yet, but that doesn't mean we can't have the full breakdown. I just wanted to see if we had a wick, so I would just exercise caution. We will look at the lower time frames. RSI does want to round away, stochastic is pretty flat. VWAP is in the bullish territory, momentum does want to bounce. Money flow is starting to gain strength, so we do have a little bit of confirmation, hopefully with tomorrow's candle. If we close a strong green candle, we may be able to trend forward. Over on this 4 hour, we do have 2 touches to the top, and we are riding along the bottom. This does have us set to break away, but if that VWAP remains bullish and momentum continues to push, our money flow can start to gain some strength, and we may make a bounce toward the top. If we do make a bounce toward that top, we could invalidate all of our breakdown possibilities. Over on the 2 hour, we are trending forward. Stochastic does want to round, momentum is rounding, VWAP is struggling, and the money flow is remaining red in the bearish territory. If that yellow wave, our VWAP cannot break toward the bullish territory with a stronger high, momentum, our blue wave, will round away, and price action will start to break down. So I would still exercise caution until we manage to break through the top and hold. We want to hold above that 61,790. Our stochastic is starting to round away, momentum is starting to round as well. VWAP is attempting to break bearish and money flow is bullish, but if that VWAP breaks for a lower low, then we get a lower high. Momentum, our blue wave, will start to round away, and money flow will go from being green into the red, and we will have more sell-off, and then we could still see that bear flag scenario. That's why we're not deleting it, despite the possibility that we have not been able to break from it, so we may not see that breakdown. So watch for that push forward. If we don't get that push forward and our VWAP starts to weaken, that's where the bears may gain control. But if that VWAP does bounce and get a higher low, we could see the bulls start to reverse and push forward. We don't quite have confirmation yet, but we could be getting there. Over here on Bitcoin for the daily, we are trying to break toward our bottom of that flag. If we can break back into that flag and hold, we could push forward. Remember, that would be a retest and a reclaim of that flag for a potential break forward. Remember, whales will manipulate you one way or the other to make you think one thing could happen instead of another. So they could have the whole market prepared for our 52K break and a push to 30K, and then they could out of nowhere whipsaw us up to that 90K possibility. Our stochastic does want to push up, RSI is gaining strength. Our VWAP does want to break into that bullish territory. It's a very weak wave. Momentum does want to push forward. We have a double green dot with bullish divergence at green line. So that does look positive. If the lower time frames can start to favor more bullish, we could see the daily start to break forward. The 4 hour could be making a double bottom. You have a drop, a rise, a drop, a rise. That could try to reclaim that 63K and push us further up. Momentum is gaining strength, but our stochastic is starting to round, so I would keep an eye on it. If that stochastic makes a break, RSI could follow, and we could see price action get let down by that RSI. We are coming up to this Fibonacci range, so if we can't break that Fibonacci range and hold, then we could see a rejection. We also have an EMA there. It's kind of hard to see that yellow EMA. Momentum is rounding, VWAP is starting to pull back, and the money flow is flat, so I would exercise caution if the lower time frames start to favor more toward the bearish territory. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic is running up, RSI is pushing forward, momentum is gaining strength. That VWAP does have weak highs, so I would exercise caution if we see a lower low and then we cannot regain above that neutral area. We will see that VWAP make a rejection, pulling momentum, our blue wave lower, and we will see money flow go from green to red, signaling that we have sell-off rather than buying in. Over on the 1 hour, we are hitting this EMA several times. we do want to break forward. This consolidation after a break forward could create a small bull flag that could push us up to our 300 EMA. I would watch the CPI news tomorrow very close, because if it's positive, we likely could push forward, but if it's negative, we may end up breaking this support level. Stochastic does want to round away. Momentum is starting to round with the red dot. VWAP does want to break that neutral, so I would watch. We did break for a new bullish wave, but that wave was very weak and short-lived, so our momentum could start to pull back and cause that money flow to break down, which would in turn weaken those higher time frames. Over on graph for the daily, we do have that symmetrical triangle here still. Stochastic does want to start to round. If that orange gets above blue, we could have a bearish cross that would bring RSI and price lower. VWAP is trying to break bullish and momentum is trying to inch its way up, but that VWAP doesn't have very much steam behind it right now, so I would watch those lower time frames. They need to break forward if we're going to make a strong run up. Over on the 4 hour, we may be above our triangle here, depending on if you want to redraw this line to over here or not. You'll kind of have to see where we land over the next few hours. If you're hoping for this to be your break forward, you would ideally look for the retest where you get a pullback, bounce off your pattern, then continue forward for your full break up. But if you're still considering that part of the pattern, we may not get a push forward and we could see a rejection. This is also a hammer candle, so if it's followed by a strong green candle, it could push us further up, but if followed by a red candle, it's likely going to create a rounding scenario where we could push down. Our stochastic is pushing up, RSI wants to gain strength, momentum's pushing up, and the VWAP is trying to remain bullish. If that VWAP can remain bullish, momentum will continue further, and money flow could flip from the red to the green, signaling more buying pressure. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic is trying to run up, RSI is trying to push with it. Momentum is gaining decent strength, but that VWAP has lower highs, so I would watch that VWAP close. If it breaks for a lower low, we could start a bearish trend that would bring momentum lower and cause money flow to round out. But if that VWAP can hold above our neutral, we will see bullish momentum to the upside. Remember, ideally you get that retest because you don't want to just shoot up, fill your pattern, because that could set us up to just shoot back down. Over on the 1 hour, we could shoot up above that 300 EMA if we do see the bullish scenario, so that could be positive if we do a healthy push up. If we do a healthy push up, break that and hold, we could continue to see higher price action. However, if we run up, break it, and then we could whipsaw because one move quick up could be retraced by a quick move down. You do see a quick move down, then a quick move up, we got a quick move down. That's a little quick example. Momentum does want to round, we have a red dot, VWAP is pulling back, money flow is breaking into the bearish territory, momentum is rounding, and our stochastic and RSI are dropping. Overall, we don't look too positive on the 1 hour. If that VWAP breaks for a lower low, then can't reclaim above that neutral, we will see momentum weaken, money flow would remain bearish, and we would end up breaking down. Over on Ankr for the daily, if I don't move everything around, we did break away from our triangle possibility. We almost got the full move up, so I am going to delete this possibility, but we don't quite have an invalidation of our bear flag possibility because we could still make some consolidation in this range, so I would still be prepared for that scenario. VWAP does want to push up. Momentum is trying to gain strength. We have a green dot. Stochastic and RSI are pushing up. So the daily does look like it is starting to gain some strength, but we need to hold this EMA and continue to hold support areas if we're going to continue further up. Over on the 4 hour, our VWAP is starting to pull back overall. We're just inching our way down. Momentum is starting to taper as a result. Momentum is trying to push money flow into the green. But if that momentum starts around, money flow will start to reverse and price action could drop down. Our RSI is starting to round as our stochastic does want to make a break, so I would watch the lower time frames here. If the lower time frames start favoring bearish, we're likely going to make a round and push down. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic is pulling back with orange above blue. We have a double red dot on momentum as that VWAP does want to break neutral. So if that VWAP continues to break our neutral, then we can't get a higher high. We will see momentum drop down and lead money flow lower. That will in turn weaken those higher time frames. Over on the 1 hour, we did hit our 300 EMA. We rejected that 300 EMA. So now if we cannot hold above our lower EMAs and make another retest to break forward, it's likely we would trend lower from here. Stochastic is dropping down. We do have orange above blue. RSI is dropping away. momentum is falling, VWAP is breaking down, and the money flow is starting to sell off due to the VWAP and momentum pulling back. So overall, the daily does look like it could start to favor more bearish. If that VWAP continues to drop away, we will see the bears gain control. Over on XRP for the daily, we are still within our symmetrical triangle here as well. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pretty flat. VWAP is trying to break bullish, so watch. If that VWAP can remain bullish, we could try to push away and invalidate our 35-33 area. Our momentum does have a green dot, so again, if that VWAP can continue further, money flow could flip green and we could try to trend up. Over on the 4-hour here, we are trying to break away from the top of our channel. We are making a slight retest, so I would watch the next several candles closely. If we end up pulling back, we could end up needing to redraw this line, pull it back up, and that could be the new line there. Wouldn't be much of a difference. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is starting to pull back. VWAP is remaining in the bullish territory. Momentum does want to push up as a result, and money flow is gaining strength. If the lower time frames can remain bullish, that would be positive to help push the daily up. As remember, when you have the 1, 2, and 4 hour in bullish waves for that money flow, you do see price action run forward pretty decent. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic does want to round. RSI is starting to pull back, so I would watch it. If that stochastic breaks, RSI could lead price action lower. Momentum does want to round here as well. We do have consistent highs as that VWAP is staying in the bullish territory, but we got lower lows, so I would exercise caution. If this wave rounds away here and breaks that neutral area, we will see momentum start to sell off and money flow would weaken, as we could start to favor bearish at that point. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic does have bearish divergence. It does want to start to pull back, so I would watch that RSI could drop. Momentum is starting to round with the lower high with the red dot as that VWAP wants to break bearish. If that VWAP continues to break bearish, we likely would push down. Money flow is bullish, but it's very weak. We need that VWAP to bounce and make a higher low if we're going to continue further up. Finally, for ALGO for the daily, we are trying to break that 1350. So if we can bounce and hold here, that would be positive. Stochastic and RSI want to push up. VWAP is trying to break bullish. Momentum wants to gain strength. We do have a green dot, so that could help push us further up. Over on the 4 hour, we do have a possibility for like a slant double bottom, or drop, rise, drop, rise. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is pulling back. Momentum is starting to round as well. VWAP is pulling back and the money flow is bullish. But if that VWAP breaks down, we will see momentum start to break away and money flow could weaken. So watch that VWAP on our lower time frames. Over on the 2 hour, we just have a straight shot up. So remember, a straight move one way is usually retraced by a move the other way. Stochastic does want to round away, bringing RSI down, which could lead price action lower after getting that rejection of our 250 EMA. VWAP is breaking bearish, making momentum round, and money flow is starting to weaken, so overall we don't look too positive on the lower time frames here. Over on the 1 hour, we did break above the 300 EMA, and we are coming back toward a retest. If we can hold above this level, we could continue further up. However, if we break that EMA, then continue to reject it, we're likely going to see the bears push at lower lows, potentially retesting that 10-cent area. So far, this does look positive, providing we can hold that EMA. Momentum does want to round. VWAP is breaking down. Stochastic is starting to sell off, and that is leading RSI lower. So I would watch. But again, if we hold that EMA, we could continue up. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I appreciate all of you. Have a great night.